You got Matt Tumavitch. He's on your left with green-white legends. You've also got Michael Derczo playing Black-Red Hollow One, and then Joshua Taylor playing Colorless Eldrazi. Against David Long playing Turbo Depths, Kazu Negri playing Jeskai Control, and then Jonathan Rosum, which rhymes with awesome, playing White-Black Aggro. There's Toolcraft Exemplar. Let's get this party started. Be a Canopy Vista, I believe. Is that
No
right?
2-drop artifact from Jonathan Rosum.
He's got the Knight instead. I said Canopy Vista. I was wrong. It looks like it's a Scattered Groves.
Close enough.
We're not in Battle for Zendikar anymore. Cedric, what are you doing?
I wish. Give me my fetch lands and battle lands back. Please.
Be a Sun Petal Grove.
Crack on Dooms.
And most importantly, maybe your Jace Vryn's Prodigies.
Yeah,
Nice.
I could do without.
Yeah, right. Card's busted beyond belief. Merfolk Branchwalker revealed a land. It's going to block and trade with Toolcraft Exemplar.
Noticeably on Knight of Mouse, first strike, a pretty big deal. Making it much harder for, decks like green-white specifically to be able to block. And it can't be targeted by white cards, so stuff like Seal Away, Cast Out, those are not touching Knight of Mouse. It's just going to be a 3/2 first strike basically forever.
History of Benalla is going to come on down, make a 2/2 Knight. This is a Jade Light Ranger. Trigger, that's one. Trigger, that's Lyra Dawnbringer. That's tough to say no to.
Yeah, Baneslayer Angel, pretty good card.
Oh. So we got back over to Rosum. He will draw a card. Tick up his history. Chapter 2. Here's a beatdown. There's a trade. 3 more damage going to come in from the Knights. If it's your first time watching this white-black deck, it's just purely a kind of a good stuff deck because here's a second copy of History of Benalla top.
Yeah, it's so good. And in this scenario, Matt Tumavitch is already on the back foot. There's so much power on the other side of the battlefield from Jonathan Rosum. The History of Benalla is about to go to Chapter 3. It's going to boost up all the Knights, including Knight of Malice. That's threatening a ton of damage. And Matt Tumavitch needs a really good 4-mana card here.
Now, taking a look at the deck list here, obviously he is a bit behind on the battlefield right now. He could use Shall I. Angel Sanctions wouldn't be so bad, even though that's a little bit more expensive. And, of course, he's got Lyra Dawnbringer in hand, but Lyra Dawnbringer might just be too late. And if Rosum has something like a Cast Out, it's not going to matter at all.
Yeah, I kind of suspected that this green-white deck from Magic Online last week might not be able to handle just a ton of History Benalias. There were, a few of these black-white decks running around the PTQ last weekend. But for the most part, this green-white deck, it looked okay on paper, but it looked too one-dimensional for my tastes.
Resilient Kenra and Llanowar Elves will enter the battlefield. They'll be on chump blocking duty most likely. As Rosum is going to add a chapter and now resolve the other History of Benalla and add a chapter to that. Now, 2 of those Knight tokens and the Knight of Malice will be able to attack, and I'm curious to see what this is about to be. It's just going to be an activation of the Deadlands.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Knocks out the 2/2 blocker, which, he's he's going to get pounded this turn pretty bad.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, 8 coming in and a chump block, so he's going to be at 5 life already and still facing down 9 power in play. And the threat of another History of Benalla going off next turn.
Really good in multiples.
Yeah.
First one's obviously totally fine, but this is a card that is great if you draw 2 of and have on turn 3 and turn 4. We saw that yesterday. We see it again here today in this game from Jonathan Rosum.
So if I'm not mistaken, a block from Lyra Dawnbringer doesn't even save him from lethal.
I think you're
It
right.
goes
on
up
that.
to 10, takes 12 or 13, depending on which creature he blocks. But I think Rosum also just has a Cast Out in hand anyway.
Well, that makes it super easy.
Yeah.
When your play of Lyra Dawnbringer is no good, that's a bit depressing.
Your play of turn 5 Lyra Dawnbringer, not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Surviving a block.
Yeah. Yep, that's fine.
Doesn't even need the Cast Out, but probably going to cast it anyway just to assert dominance.
Just to make sure. Yep, resolve this. Maybe he'd miss the history trigger, I suppose, but yep, you're gonna say you're gonna block here. because he can ball. Yep, everybody's going to come in, and that is going to do it. So Jonathan Rosum, which of course does rhyme with awesome, is going to win game number 1 here over Matt Tumavitch, which I'm not sure what that rhymes with. Maybe we'll figure that out a little bit later. But White-Black Aggro up a game very quickly over Green-White Legends. They're on the scoreboard first. We'll check our other matches here in just a moment, but first, a couple of words. We are back. Going to watch Matt Tumavitch against Jonathan Rosum. Green-White Legends versus White-Black Aggro. Tumavitch got ran out of the gym the first game. See if he can catch up here with 3 thrashing Brontodons, 2 castouts, 2 Johnny Unyielding, 2 Settle the Wreckage, 2 Life Crafters, Bestiary, a Naturalized and a Vital Force. What do we like here, Todd?
From his side, I think you have to find a way to make it to the long game. That means trying to slow things down. Settle the Wreckage seems like an obvious inclusion just as a way to buy yourself time. It's not going to be great. Like, Rosum has a bunch of ways to survive against Settle the Wreckage. I think that's one of the things that gives the deck a leg up against, like, Blue-White Control, for example. But at the same time, you need your big cards to come online. You need to be able to try to get Angel of Sanctions or Lear Dawnbringer onto the battlefield. And if you don't have something like Settle Wreckage, you can just get run over by History of Benalia, as we saw in Game 1. Brontodon's okay. It's probably coming in just because of so many enchantment-based removal effects, as well as Heart of Kirin. Johnny Unyielding, gain some life, kill some things. If you're trying to make the game longer, it's okay. It is expensive, though, and if you expect you might get run over, having a 6-drop in your opening hand is quite bad. And then Naturalize just being another disenchant effect is probably good enough.
We take a look at Rossman's 3 Duress, 2 Treasure Map, 2 Doomfall, 2 Golden Demise, 2 Angel of Sanctions, 2 Fumigate, a Fragmentize, and a Settle the Wreckage. Anything standing out there for you?
This green-white deck is almost all creatures. I really like Fumigate against decks like that. If you take a look at Matt Tumavitch's entire deck, he has no Planeswalkers. So
okay.
Something like Fumigate is just going to clear the entire battlefield from Tumavitch's side. I don't know if you necessarily want to become the control deck because the creatures from Matt Tumavitch's side are going to be bigger than yours on average. So slowing down may be a bad thing from Rosum's side. But if you expect the game to go long, sometimes you just need access to a reset button. If he does want to go that direction, cards like Angel of Sanctions, Doomfall, Treasure Map, these are fine inclusions. And since he is green-white, there is a likelihood of white-based enchantment removal, so Fragmentize is probably fine.
Well, those are the options there for both players. We'll be underway here in game number 2 in just a moment. But I do want to touch on the StarCityGames.com weekly sale very quickly if we can, because we don't have a lot of time left there at home for you folks to save up to 20% on a couple of modern singles. Modern singles like, I believe
Abrupt Decay,
and
Hallowed
Bloodbred
Fountain,
Elf.
and Windswept Teeth.
There you go. And a whole bunch more. Go to StarCityGames.com/weekly sale. Sale's going to end on Monday, 10:59 a.m. East Coast time. We'll have a news sale for you at 11 a.m. East Coast time. Make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter as well, so you'll get some updates on what our weekly sales are going to be. Answers to Possibility Storm, and a whole bunch more.
Wait, so it's not just those 4 cards?
No, there are more.
I always thought it was just the 4 cards.
Oh.
What?
It does say select
Yeah,
ones.
these select 4. We
that's
selected
it.
these 4 for you to look
Do you
at.
think we just have 1 million of these?
Yes.
Fair enough, fair enough.
World's largest internet Magic retailer.
That's true. Largest buyer and seller of Magic of the Gathering cards. As we are underway here, it's a forest for Matt Tumavitch, and here we go over to Rosum with a Concealed Courtyard. Back to Matt we go. He's got a Plains. He's got a Merfolk Branchwalker. Shall I? Voice of Plenty.
There's like one guy on the internet who's just like, challenge accepted. I'm going to beat Star City Games at buying and selling cards.
Good luck.
And I will be the largest retailer.
Hey, got to strive for something.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
How many mulligans did we do? Not enough.
There's a Fatal Push.
Yeesh.
Rishkar, Pima Renegade. Well, there's a second land there for Rosum.
Lucky.
Yeah. He runs so good as he plays a Heart of Kirin. Let's go back over to Tumavitch.
Rishkar Pima Renegade, a pretty sweet card in this deck. Allows you to, gain access to a lot of mana quickly. And with so many like big 5-drops and things, it's pretty nice to have.
There's Naturalize to take care of the Heart of Kirin as we head back over to Rosum. Rosum will play another copy of Heart of Kirin and pass the turn back. We go back over to Tumavitch.
Yeah, missing those land drops, definitely hurting Rosum. I'm sure his hand is full of good stuff.
Oh, there's little Thrashy Bee.
Noticeably, Walking Ballista did not attack. Specifically, I think to hold up green mana for Blossoming Defense, thanks to the ability of Rishkar Pima Renegade. Also, the ability to activate Thrashing Bronodon should the Heart of Kirin get crewed.
We will have no attack or anything of the sort there from Jonathan Rosum, as his Knight of Malice is just a 2-power creature. There are no white permanents on the battlefield.
Yeah. I think just smashing for 6 here is the play.
That's what you're going to see. And now here is a Shall I.
We left that one on top on turn 2. It's going to be good here protecting all of Tumavitch's creatures from spot removal.
Shall I's a nice card. I think maybe a little bit underrepresented right now, as there's a history of Benalia.
Unfortunately, Heart of Kirin not looking to play well on defense thanks to Thrashing Bronodon on the battlefield, but also one in Tumavitch's hand still, I believe.
You also see Tumavitch's hand as he has been playing a couple of lands, so he's got all spells over there. Among them, Lear Dawnbringer, but only a single source of white mana at this stage for your Green-White Legends player. Brontodon going to take care of Heart of Kirin. See what else Matt Tumavitch wants to do on this turn, as these games are going pretty quickly here between the two of them.
Yeah.
Walking Ballista also in hand over there.
Yeah, and thanks to the ability of Rishkar, he could just cast Walking Ballista for X equals 2. The 3-power Knight of Malice can first strike Rishkar, so probably not going to want to attack with that one. You also get another creature onto the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and that can give you up to 6 mana to start using Shalai Voice of Plenty's alternate ability, which we haven't seen yet, but it's put to good use in this green-white deck.
Rosum going to draw a card, get another 2/2 Knight. He's trying to catch back up. He'll attack here for 2.
Very reminiscent of Gavany Township.
It's always nice to have a 3/4 and give all the things hexproof as we head back over to Matt.
Yeah, hexproof doesn't protect you from Settle the Wreckage here. Rosum, I think if he had a cast out, would have probably main faced it against the Shalai as to prevent the 6 mana put a counter on everything ability, which is particularly good with Walking Ballista.
J-Light Ranger. Plains is nice. Cast out, probably fine.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Not sure if he even wants to attack with anything here. If he just keeps forcing Rosum to sit on Settle the Wreckage, he can just keep using Shalai to boost up Walking Ballistas, keep using the mana for, sorry.
He can't cast Settle, right? Settle targets a player.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's why Shalai's busted against Settle.
Oh, my.
Yeah. That's right, I'm here for you. Yeah.
You just let me do that for,
I couldn't stop you. You were going. I tried. I couldn't stop you. You were going.
No, that's fair.
But I let you know now.
Yep.
So there you go. There's history of Benalia.
Sacrificing the Walking Ballista, just take care of that creature now. Could come in for a nice punch of damage if he lets it lie.
Yep. Rosum's just going to draw 3 cards.
Ancestral Vision, still dead.
Still dead. Okay, fair enough. Well, let's get ready for our third and final one here between Tumavitch and Rosum. It's Green-White Legends and White-Black Aggro. They're all tied up. We will take a short break, and then when we do come back, we'll watch game number 3 of this one here in just a bit. Let's get ready to watch a third and final one here between Matt Tumavitch and Jonathan Rosum, shall we? Green-White Legends, White-Black Aggro, getting ready here for game number 3. Can let you know on the top shelf there, David Long did win game number 1 over Joshua Taylor. Got Turbo Depths up a game here over Colorless Eldrazi. And then in the mid, yeah, Black-Red Hollow one in the hands of Michael Derczo against Kazu Negri playing Jeskai Control. They are still in game number 1, it appears.
That could actually mean anything. Normally you would think, game's going on pretty long, Jeskai Control probably has it on lock. But a deck like Black-Red Hollow one has all these recurring threats. Flamewake Phoenix, there's not Flamewake Phoenix, is it? It is
no, Flamewake Phoenix, yeah.
There's so many, there's Rekindling Phoenix to Standard, there's 700 other Phoenixes. So Flamewake Phoenix, Bloodghast, 2 cards that kind of invalidate a lot of the spot removal from these Jeskai Control decks. the Path to Exiles and such are
In elemental form, my friends, he's looking to give some beatdowns. And then we have Ryan Overturf.
I haven't seen either of these. They're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Ryan Overturf is a treasure. And you can sacrifice Ryan Overturf and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. 2 of Star City's own there. And Ross Merriam and Ryan Overturf. Ross looking to give some beatdowns.
That is amazing.
Only can get those at IQs, by the way. No other way.
What about the prize wall?
I don't think so.
Aw.
I think so.
So you're telling me I can't win a Star City Games Modern Classic and get me a bunch of Ross Merriam Elemental tokens for my Young Pyromancer?
I think you got to go to the IQs, man.
You're a monster.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I will go to IQs.
Go to starcitygames.com/IQ for more information. There is a Heart of Kirin. Here is a Sun Petal Grove. Matt Tumavitch, you got to have a 2-drop, right? Your deck has so many of them.
You better. I mean, he might just be thinking about 2-drop or Naturalize.
Sure.
He does have a Thopter Arrest, though, in his hand, so he could use that to take care of Heart of Kirin. I believe. We had to read it yesterday just to make sure. You know. It is significantly worse than Banishing Light, but it can still hit artifacts and creatures.
Tumavitch going to consult with the squad about what the best play is here. Talking with his old pal Michael Derczo. See Joshua Taylor. He's here to assist as he lost to David Long already. Colorless Eldrazi not able to take down Turbo Depths. And if Rossum's able to get the job done here, this team's going to be in sweet positioning for top 8. Because there's a Merfolk Branchwalker going to reveal Shalai. Keep it on top.
What should be shocking to no one, the colorless deck did not have a lot of interaction. I mean, the colorless Eldrazi decks usually play 3 or 4 copies of Wasteland, depending on the build. But the Turbo Depths is more than prepared to beat that with 3 or 4 copies of Pithy Needle in its main deck.
Yeah. Turbo Depths is looking pretty gosh darn good here this weekend as there is Thopter Arrest on the Heart of Kirin. You saw History of Benalia come down there for Jonathan Rosum. Last turn, that's why he's got the 2/2 Vigilant Sign on the battlefield. We'll be reading Chapter 2 of that saga here in just a moment as Tumavitch is considering attacking with the Merfolk Branchwalker, it appears.
Wait, I thought it was just Chapter 1, Chapter 1. They're the same.
Oh, but you put it. Stop. Come on, would you?
Look, I was
stop?
having trouble keeping up with the advanced language of the History of Benalia. I had to reread the chapter.
Gotcha.
Figure it out.
Gotcha.
You know.
One thing that Rosum is missing right now, you can probably tell, is black mana, but it looks like he's got mostly white cards in hand, so this does not appear to be much of an issue. Rosum might be cycling a cast out, and he will, so he'll draw a card.
You never want to cycle cast out in this matchup, and he's had to cycle 2 to try to hit land drops. Cast out one of his few ways to actually deal with a Resolved Leer Dawnbringer.
Here is the Heart of Kirin. And we'll go back over to Matt Tumavitch.
Although with all these Naturalize effects and such from the Green-White Legends deck, Cast Out does lose a lot of value after sideboard, which is important to note. You can't reliably deal with something. You might get blown out mid-combat. It's tough, but you got to play what you got, your colors have access to.
Merfolk Branchwalker on a real basic forest. That'll be Tumavitch's land drop for the turn as he immediately places that onto the battlefield from the top of his deck. See what else Matt can do this turn. He's just going to pass the turn back. Chapter 3 of History is going to go off. And now those Knights are going to be 4/3s with Vigilance that can do some attacking here. Might have some interest in crewing up Heart of Kirin as well. We'll see what Rosum wants to do as he's drawing his card for the turn.
So 2 mana Rotting on Tumavitch's side, right? You kind of have to assume after he paused so long on turn 2 that he has a Naturalize.
Yep, and he does have one.
Attacking with the Knights makes sure that you don't do 0 damage for the attack that turn.
Rosum finally found a black source of mana there in Concealed Courtyard. Unfortunately for Jonathan, it's going to enter the battlefield tap. He'll trade with Merfolk Branchwalker there. We'll see what's going to come down here for Tumavitch now as he plays a Forest, and he'll play Shalai with a mana open, potentially for the card Blossoming Defense.
Perhaps. I think it's just a product of missing land drops on curve to cast the stuff he wanted to cast. Mostly, hitting the 4th land off of Branchwalker and then drawing his 5th land for the turn. I don't actually think Blossoming Defense is that good in this matchup. Things like Cast Out, you can deal with those more easily with Disenchant effects, and the Disenchant effects have more value overall just because they're able to target Heart of Kirin as well.
There's Karn. Let's plus it. Up to 6 loyalty. I'm going to give Rosum a Swamp.
Rosum really wanted his 4th land to enter the battlefield untapped. He was sitting on Cast Out Karn, a number of other things. They just couldn't cast with that 3 mana. If that Concealed Courtyard had been an isolated chapel, it would have been perfect. Unfortunately, he is a turn behind now because he missed a big turn 4 or 5.
I do think John may have missed a land drop last turn, though, right? Courtyard came into play tapped.
Yeah, he just didn't play.
He just didn't play the swamp. Yeah, I think he may have been moving a little too quick there.
Yep, maybe a little mistake.
May hinder his ability to play multiple spells in a turn now, too. We'll see if that comes back to hurt him or not, as Karn's going to fall down to 3. Rosum will draw. Picked up another copy of Concealed Courtyard. He'll plus. Karn will go under. There's an isolated chapel. Let's see what's going to come next for Rosum. 4 counters on Karn right now.
The dice dance.
Fumigate.
We saw that one coming out the sideboard, and 3 decent-sized creatures getting swept up. A Planeswalker still on Rosum's side, and this game has turned around big time.
Yeah, it sure has. As you look at Tumavitch's hand, I think he's just got 2 lands and maybe a cast out. He hasn't found much of anything to do. And the tough part here for Tumavitch in his deck is that his lands don't really do much of anything.
Just for clarity's sake,
Sure.
I wanted to point out that Tumavitch's deck list is actually a bit different from the version that won the Magic Online PTQ last weekend. That version of the deck had 3 or 4 Karn Sign of Urza in it. It also had Treasure Map as a way to make the Karn tokens bigger, as well as have a bit of longevity, as well as scrying to help you find the right cards over time. This version, it seems like Matt Tumavitch has gone for Angel of Sanctions in its place as a means of, taking care of problematic permanents if they're not able to deal with it. But it looks like him being mostly creature-based is going to punish him pretty hard in this matchup.
Settle the Wreckage and History of Benalia are going to go various places. Settle in the Grip, History underneath Karn. As here comes Lyra Dawnbringer. Settle the Wreckage is going to take care of the Angel.
Yeah, but at this point we have Karn going, plussing or minusing every turn. No creatures from Matt Tumavitch's side to deal with it. No enchantments to deal with it. It's looking pretty grim.
It is going to be bad news here.
And with him down a match from the Turbo Depths beating Joshua Taylor, if Rossum's able to take this game, that should finish the match.
And you see a Knight of Malice. Rosum will play another copy of Concealed Courtyard and pass the turn back over to Matt, who will draw. And has he found something that's not a land is the question. Is he's actually reaching for mana here. So it appears as though the answer is yes. Might be a Jadelight Ranger. It is. Let's explore twice. 1, Thopter Arrest. Mill that. Brontodon. He'll mill that. It's a 4-3 now is the Jadelight Ranger. You see Michael Derczo on our scoreboard. Has won his match against. So we are all tied up here. Unfortunately for Matt Tumavitch, he isn't quite the bind. He's going to have to hope that Jonathan Rosum doesn't have too much going on, but we know he's got an active Karn and a whole bunch more in his hand. It's he'll minus the Karn, take the History of Benalia.
Yeah, he just wants to put more pressure on the battlefield to try to close the game. History of Benalia being one of his options from a Karn minus. Definitely something he wants to get onto the battlefield this turn. If he has a second one, it could spell doom for Matt in 2 turns.
Knight of Malice going to attack for 3. Tumavitch will fall down to 13. Follow-up is another 2-mana spell. It's a darn good one there in Heart of Kirin. Going to cycle that land will Tumavitch. But he is so far behind on the battlefield, I think he may have picked up a copy of Llanowar Elves.
Oh, no.
Yep. Here comes Jadelight Ranger at Karn.
Can't crew the Heart of Kirin. I believe.
Oh, yes.
Rosum,
Oh, yes, he can.
Minus. Yes.
There you go.
Yes. The rarely used minus a loyalty off a Planeswalker for Heart of Kirin's ability. Can block, yes. You are correct. But he has cast out. He might even have Settle the Wreckage.
Oh, yes. Llanowar Elves. That is nice. Now he says, I'm going to block. Yeah, that's why I removed the counters, because I like to block. There we go.
Sure. A little
Yeah.
bit of miscommunication,
Yeah.
but, Rosum doing the heads-up play, just paying the loyalty since the 2-2 Vigilance Knight can't crew. Trading with the 4-3.
Another chapter read on his saga means another 2-2 Vigilance Knight. And the world is Jonathan Rosum's oyster right now. He's got plenty of things to do in hand. He's got an active Karn, and he's got the better battlefield against Matt Tumavitch, who's playing at the top of his deck and doesn't really have a lot of options. Rosum just figuring out the best way to move. About closing this game out, you see he's got Ifnir Deadlands in hand. He's thinking, I can just use this, take care of Llanowar, get in for a sizable chunk of damage. But I'm going to start with a Karn activation. Fumigate Doomwake. Sure.
I mean, you give them the Fumigate, whenever they're ahead on the battlefield, they're never going to cast it.
Yep.
But it's good to have just in case.
Beatdowns. Looks like it'll be an attack there for 5. Tumavitch with no good blocks, going to fall down to 8. Going to play Deadlands. 4. Throw it at that. Don't need Scavenger Grounds in this matchup.
I always thought that was a really cool aspect of the deserts from Kaladesh. Kaladesh block? Amonkhet block, excuse me. Was that you could sacrifice any desert. So, they all have their individual abilities, but you get to sacrifice the least valuable one at the time. We saw that a lot with Sunscorched Desert and Raminap Ruins. Before Raminap Ruins,